All right, let's talk about this eviction crisis. Remember, the moratorium on evictions is up. The federal government in October, President Biden's eviction moratorium ban is now gone. It's dissolved. There was billions of dollars set aside for rental assistance, right, in the United States that was going to help people be able to pay their rent. It was going to help landlords be able to cover mortgages and those types of things. So we wouldn't have this crisis. Well, now we know defaults on mortgages are skyrocketing. We've covered that here on the show. So that's one piece of this, right? The owners of these homes. The other big piece, of course, is that these homeowners or these renters are now also have nowhere to go. They're being pushed out.
There's a long line of foreclosure or of evictions. And what I meant I couldn't think of the word, but homeless shelters are overrun. They have no place for people. So people are setting up these tent cities. But where's the money? There was supposed to be billions of dollars in rental assistance money. Where the heck is it? And now by some estimates, 75% of the rental assistance money that the federal government set aside has not reached its destination, 75%. So Congress set aside $46 billion in rental assistance during the pandemic, but they obviously had to filter that down through the states. Only $10 billion has actually reached any of the renters. You know, this is a virtuous circle, right? They were supposed to send it to the tenants. In some cases, they would send it straight, in some states, they would send it straight to the landlords in order to reprieve any back rent for the tenants, and it just hasn't happened. They're saying that a lot of these applications are stuck in processing, and obviously no state was going to prioritize rental assistance when they knew that no tenants could be evicted. So they have been kicking the can down the road, like, yeah, we'll get to your application, but we don't have to because you can't be evicted right now during the pandemic. Well, that's not the case anymore. Now evictions will start happening again, and will that money be freed up? Who the heck knows?
And these states are just, I don't know what's going on with these states. I mean, they literally, you have people sleeping on the streets. You have tent cities set up right on their doorstep, and they can't figure out how to get this money out to people. I mean, right, if you go through the different websites to type this information in, and it all comes down to what state you happen to be in. A lot of the websites are total garbage. They're giving you errors as you're trying to process information. I would love to know, like Chris Moore says in our chat, I just got mine in Alaska last week. Chris, I'm curious, how long did that take, Chris?
So, the Department of... Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. If you're saying that 75% of it has not come from the federal government yet, and they're blaming the states, is it really on the states, or is it because the states haven't applied that the federal government hasn't released the money?
No. So the Department of Housing and Urban Development has already sent out $46 billion. That's the total amount for state and local government. So all of that money, according to the feds, has been sent out. Okay.
Okay. So 75% is still being held by the states.
The states are screwing this up.
Yes.
So this is not you can't blame Biden for this.
Now, you remember Gavin Newsom said, we're going to pay all back rent. That was about 6 months ago. And he didn't even wait for his federal assistance. He used California's budget and just went ahead and did it, right? But other states are having backups in their own state housing and urban development department, which I don't know if we have a couple of tenants on rental assistance, and it is not easy to deal with this. We went through one state's assistance program to help some of our tenants who were back rent, who were in arrears, right? And we had to work with the tenant to get them to apply, even though I, as the landlord, could prove this person has not paid. Do you think, you could use this program, as you said, and then we'll catch up this tenant? And they wouldn't even talk to me as the landlord. The tenant had to apply for it. And obviously the tenant didn't even want to speak to me. They were embarrassed about being late in some cases, right? And they just wouldn't answer the phone. They wouldn't answer the property manager's phone. And so it was like, me as the landlord has to continue to maintain the property when something breaks. I have to continue to maintain insurance on the property. I have to continue any debt I've got on the property. And I have to pay state and local taxes. I don't get a break from those things. But none of that rental assistance went to us. None. And it was just, and every time I went, I would call, or I'd go to the website and they say, we're out of this money. We're waiting for some more. It's like, really? You're okay.
We're just out of it.
Yeah.
Okay. We're just waiting for more.
No funds here.
Now, I did say, you can't blame President Biden for like that, the $46 billion not being dispersed. It has been now dispersed, but the president can take action, can lead on this issue with Congress. Remember, the Supreme Court, of course, struck down the CDC's guidelines on evictions back in August, saying that the CDC doesn't have the power to do this. The CDC doesn't have the power to enforce an eviction moratorium. They can't do this. And the Supreme Court said that they would need Congress to write a law. Mm-hmm. Well, who runs this country? It's Democrats. Democrats run the Senate. They run the House of Representatives. And they run the presidency. The president of the United States could show some leadership on this issue, get all of these people together and say, we need to fix this. I mean, this is a crisis that didn't need to happen. It's right there. It's of our own making, basically.
Yes, but I'm glad that he hasn't. I do not think the eviction moratorium is constitutional. I don't think that it's right to sort of disproportionately put the living expenses of some people on others, and especially like mom and pop landlords like us, we still have to pay our taxes, right? If there was really something, like if they really wanted to give us something to support the people that live in our properties, we would then have a reprieve from state and local taxes. But they don't do that.
That's my point. All of it needs to come together like they did in Australia, like they did in Japan, right? You're covering the mortgages of the people that have mortgages on the property. You're covering the rent for the people that can't pay it.
Yes.
You're making sure that there's tax alleviation from it. All of
the
those
eviction
things.
moratorium is just one piece of the puzzle. And it's like we pretend it's not a virtuous circle, right? So the tenant pays the rent, the landlord pays the property taxes and maintains the property.
Right.
And then the city then pays firemen, police, right? So
and that all comes from
all
the property
of this
taxes.
needs to happen in a virtuous circle for people to live in an area. So why only address one piece of it? It doesn't make any sense.
I totally agree.
They always think so backwards too, because it's like, if it's just basic economics, from the very onset of all this, if they would have given a UBI of like $2,000, all these companies would have been fine through the pandemic, because it does trickle up. It doesn't trickle down. And they always try to find and make all these bureaucracies to give money to this program and this program. And people get lost in the shuffle. Whereas if they would have just given everybody $2,000 or something like that, then landlords wouldn't be in the situation they are. Corporations would have had record profits. But it's like they don't see that part of the circle ever.
Thanks for subscribing to the channel. You can also become a channel member by going to morninginvest.com/join, where you can stick it to the mainstream media and support independent journalism. We're able to bring you the stories that you won't see on any of the major billionaire-backed networks. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time, everyone.